Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Well, today we're starting something new, and so bear with me as we start a new approach, new software, new technology, new platforms to deliver to as well. This is still the High Performance Team Show, hopefully coming live at you on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on Facebook. It is a live show. It's interactive. It's your show too, so please ask your questions. I am going to just be fiddling around a bit as I understand this platform. But bring your comments and questions. I'd love for you to be involved. My guest is sitting in the wings waiting to get stuck in too. I just want to share this with you first as we go. This episode is proudly brought to you by Optimum. This episode is proudly brought to you by Optimum Financial Services Group. Optimum has the expertise to guide you through investment, tax, retirement, and estate planning, with a tailored solution to your individual needs. Our objective is to provide you with an optimum solution to protect your wealth. Optimum has expertise in medical aid, legal services, asset finance, and short-term insurance, as well as specialized services in commercial, marine, aviation, and personal liability. Don't choose the average, choose Optimum. Optimum Financial Services Group is an authorized financial services provider. Right, today's guest, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining today. Stewart Samkange is from Zimbabwe originally. He has lived in 7 different countries and he is currently based in Dublin, in Ireland, working with LinkedIn. He's a masterful storyteller. He is the first African live LinkedIn broadcaster, and he's also been a mentor and a help for me to get my show up and running. So today's the first one, and we've got Stewart on the program. Looking forward to the conversation. It's all about positive African success stories. It's all about it's time to shine. Each one, teach one. We'll get into all of that in just a minute. And let's click in here. My name is Alex McPhail. This is High Performance Teams. Please ask your questions and stay with me. Stewart, a very warm welcome to you. How are you doing today? Oh, I don't hear your sound. Let's go again. Stewart, how are you doing today?
Wow, like I said, it feels a bit strange being a guest and not the host. So, hello, Africa. Hello, world. How you doing?
Oh, awesome. Thank you for joining. Love the hat, love the bow tie, looking slick, looking suave. And that's how we've come to know you on your LinkedIn Live broadcasts. Coming out live from all over and sharing the good news of the African success stories. But not only that. So maybe just for the purposes of those who don't know you yet, I'm sure they'll dive into you. Tell us a little bit about you. What fires you up and where did it all begin?
Wow, it all began, I guess, from the little village I was born in Zimbabwe. It's a very small place. Again, lending on family values and growing up in a family where my dad was an entrepreneur, my mother was an entrepreneur, and I watched how they reinvested in themselves, learning skills and transcending from sales careers to lawyers to judges, from a nurse to a business owner. So yeah, it all stems from your childhood, I guess. And loving what I do now, which is really about helping people. What drives me in the morning is actually doing good, helping somebody get access to an opportunity. There's things that have happened in my life that have led me to where I am right now. I'm super grateful for that. But at the same time, I want to lift up other people who've got the skills, but just aren't getting the opportunities.
Okay, that's awesome. But now another thing that can also be a little bit, I don't know if the right word is confusing or just fascinating anyway, is that we see all these big platforms and but they often seem to be just out there, like LinkedIn, like Google, like Facebook, Airbnb. We don't often have an opportunity to talk to someone who works in these platforms too. And not only are you an employee of LinkedIn, but you are very vocal on the platform. So it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, and the company gets great value and mileage out of the work you do for them on the platform. So this is just a great opportunity for the viewers to just dive into and ask their questions. But tell me, what do you see as this number one leverage that you have now with branding? You always look smart. You got your hat on. Tell me about how you brand yourself, position yourself, and get out there on live streaming.
Yeah, well, so I've always had a sales career. And this goes to my dad because I know he's watching. He's a big fan of your show. He's been watching it on YouTube. And those who don't know, Alex is he started streaming on YouTube, covering, airline pilots, performance pilots, covering all sorts of high performance people, like even World Cup winners. So I know my dad's watching, and I know he's always questioned, for example, my whole approach to branding. So, for example, those of you who know me, I have nice, long, luscious hair that goes with my look. I think from a very early age, I learned the power of personal branding in terms of you can have 11 football players on the pitch. It's not always necessarily the one who's the best, who gets the endorsements, who gets the opportunities, but it is the one who is most dynamic, the one that appeals to the audience, and the one that engages the audience. So mine is all about visual branding as much as it is about also the content I share on LinkedIn. So visual branding, right now, you're watching this. You don't get to see a guy with a bow tie. You don't get to see a guy with a leather stovetop hat, but you're going to remember what it is that I said. And when opportunities come for us to partner or for me to help you, you'll remember the guy in the hat.
That's it, the guy in the hat. Well, we've got people that are joining in, so thanks. Here comes Florence saying, sorry, I've joined late. How long will the episode be? There, another example of the branding. I love the cup you got going there, Stewart. That's an awesome mug there. The guy with the hat and the long hair. That's awesome. Florence, these episodes tend to be somewhere around 45 odd minutes. If the vibe is good, we carry on a bit longer. They don't normally go longer than about an hour, but we have a wonderful guest who has a great skill. Just having a look through your resume there, a little bit, your online CV and LinkedIn profile, Stewart. Lots of comments, lots of compliments, lots of kudos to you, saying things like masterful storyteller, very engaging, all about the brand, visual, does what he preaches, one of those leading by example type. So let's get into a bit of storytelling, and maybe you can share some storytelling and how it was that you've lived in 7 different countries.
Yeah, it's been an interesting career. I think I started out in IBM. I had another job before that, but IBM, which we used to always joke, which means I've been moved. Because
I haven't heard that one before. That's a good one.
IBM, I think, moved me through to Botswana. It moved me through to South Africa, moved me through to, of course, Zimbabwe. Did a stint in Nigeria, lived in Lagos. So anybody who's watching from Nigeria and West Africa, thank you very much. I had such a wonderful time there and learned a lot of life lessons there. And then moved to Kenya, moved to Tanzania. And then now we're living in Ireland and loving it. Another new experience. The more you travel, the more you learn. I know we got COVID right now and you're an airline pilot, but I'd advocate for anybody who's watching this to travel, to invest in the experiences, because the more you learn about other people, their cultures, their backgrounds, the more you will appreciate why things are the way they are. So, for example, when I was in Nigeria, I had a conversation. Of course, I was having lunch with somebody, and he called out for a waiter, and it was quite brisk and quite, hey, give me some salt. And I was like, yo, that's not necessary. You could have said, excuse me, etc. And he said, Stuart, look around you. Look around this room. How many people do we have in this room? It's if I don't speak up, I'm not going to be heard. So sometimes when you understand those nuances of where someone's coming from, and the very fact that when they apply for jobs, there's like 10,000 people, probably with the same qualification, same age, same background, you need to speak out. So branding is super important.
That's good. That's making your way in the world. And we've got some fellow people who have loved the colleagues on LinkedIn, etc., have loved the get up. So Kim James is saying, fabulous get up there. Hi, guys. And she's also saying, hello, fellow IBMers. Shout out to the IBM colleagues coming from Anthony as well. That's great. Thanks for joining the show. Hubert Dennis, this is my father-in-law, Jock, is saying, hi, Alex and Stuart. Looks like a great show developing here. Well, thank you for the support. I trust it will be. Guys, keep bringing your questions, comments. Tell us where you are. Where are you in the world right now? Where have you streamed in from? Are you sitting in Australia, in Europe, in South Africa? But going back to your point of travel and around the world, so most of your different countries and different places that you've lived, Stuart, has been Africa. You really are quite familiar with the different cultures and places and regions and styles in Africa. Was it quite different going to Ireland? How long have you been in Ireland now? 3 or 4 years?
Well, no, Ireland has been 2 years, and I love to travel, and I'm open to new cultures and new people. So for me personally, not too much of an adjustment. I will say also for my family, it hasn't been difficult for the kids to adjust into the schools. The system is different from Africa, and as much as I appreciate my hosts and the country, the African education system, I think, still is leaps ahead in terms of some of the areas. But of course, we've learned other things here that we now come to appreciate, such as discovering a child's creativity, discovering a child's God-given talent, and then nurturing that so that they choose what career they end up in. So if anything, it's changed my perspective. And those of you who are watching this, if you're a parent, if anything, I'd say the more travel I've had, the more it's led me to be more open about what careers my kids want to do and what passions they have and how they mix with society.
Okay, that sounds cool. But now, when I don't know if I want to just make sure I understood you correctly. Did you say in Ireland, what was the first world setup? Is that where they nurture more? Or did you say the difference is from Africa, they nurtured more?
Yeah, I think here they nurture more. And I think in Africa, the education system tends to be instructional, based on memory and recalling things. Yes, but the quality is amazing. The teachers, I think, in Africa are doing a phenomenal job. If I look at how my kids have developed, here it's more about nurturing their God-given talents and letting them explore. So getting the best of both worlds and appreciating all teachers. So if you are a teacher and you're watching, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you indeed. The teachers are the bedrock of the society. We've got a LinkedIn user, no name, unfortunately, saying, lovely to see and learn from my compatriot. Great show, Alex. Keep up the cool content. And there's a Zimbabwean flag for you, Stewart.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I should have brought my flag with me. So any Zimbabweans watching, love to connect. And then, like I always say on LinkedIn, Alex, this LinkedIn user, for example, yes, you have an option to hide your ID or your photograph. But I say to people, if you are watching right now, one pro tip I always say, again, going back to branding, you want to be recognizable. Yes, Alex is saying nice things about me and saying that, yes, I am recognizable from that perspective. The same can happen for you if you're consistent about the image that you're using or the picture that you have to your profile. So not having a picture doesn't really help you.
Okay, Kim's joining us again. I'm glad to see Kim is getting so active on this conversation. Kim is in the UAV space, drones and aerial survey work. And she's saying it's sitting in cold Johannesburg, moved back to South Africa after 18 years away, having lived in the UK, Hong Kong, and the UAE. Love being back home, but international work and travel is what formed me for sure. Agreeing with your sentiments, Stewart, there.
Awesome. Tell Kim I'm just right now on a second screen. I'm just going to connect her up with a guy called Andrew. He's in the UAV space and he's based out of Kenya. And I've asked him to join the stream as well. Awesome. You guys should connect up. I think this is the beautiful thing about LinkedIn. We're all in different industries, but we know people in different industries. So it's about giving each other network access. And I guess you always see me use the hashtag network gap. Let's reduce that gap.
Yeah, well, you're probably the most connected person out there. So thank you for that. And in real time, folks, you can see as we are talking live, Stewart will connect you with people and make it easier for you to do business. The power of LinkedIn is incredible. But let's say, Karen, with some more comments coming through. Toby is saying travel first, choice a career later. Totally agree. So that's great. And sorry, I think you would choose career later. He's got another message coming later. All right. And LinkedIn user has come in and he's given his name now. He says, my name's Russell Tatenda Munadwafa. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm not saying that very well. That sounds Zimbabwean to me.
Tatenda? Yeah, it does.
Yeah, you see. Great. So tell me a bit about the positive African success story. That's where we connected. So a while ago, I was on my way to the Far East to go and collect some masks with the start of the COVID thing in South Africa. We went and brought 4.7 million masks back for use in the COVID effort. And that's how we connected. And you said, let's make a story. You're talking positive African success stories. And that's where I climbed on board. But certainly you are all over the place and connected with people in all over different countries in Africa too. So tell me about the positive African success story.
So Positive African Success Stories is a hashtag that I curate. And this is one of the things I teach and coach around, is that as much as you're doing all this work on social media, it's important that you create your own hashtags that you can curate, which will make it easier. If you're a startup, if you're a professional, and someone is looking for content about you, it's easier to point them to a hashtag. So Positive African Success Stories. PASS. So what is the PASS? The PASS is where I feature positive Africans, irrespective of where they're sitting in the world and what they're doing for their community and their society. So I think it's great to have these types of stories, because as Africans, we haven't owned our own narrative. And this has always been my challenge is, I'm on this platform, not only to get you access to opportunities, but I'm on the platform so that we can change the narrative about Africa. There are so many good things coming out of Africa. We have a young population of talent that is just looking, not so much to be employed, but is looking for an opportunity to set up a business, to partner up with someone, and to investigate how they solve the problems that we have in Africa. So Positive African Success Stories are good stories that are either business, technology, creativity, farming, agriculture. It doesn't matter, as long as it's making our people learn.
That's great, thanks. And while you're sharing your good stories, you've taught me this program too on StreamYard. I'm busy fiddling around here. You'll see me jumping through things. I'll probably get it wrong a few times too, but I'm going to try and post some pictures as I go. But some more people are joining. So here's my good friend, Fran. He's saying, real-time connecting at its best, referring to you connecting up to Kim. And Kim, again, saying, thanks, Stewart. So, yeah, real-time, exactly. And keep your questions coming. This is the master connector, the master storyteller, and he works for LinkedIn, so he has the inside track. So bring your questions. And I see right away there, Jeremy has joined us. Jeremy saying, hi, Stewart. Which little town were you from in Zim? I was born in Chipinga. Great interview.
Oh, awesome, dude. Wow. Southern part of Zimbabwe. I was born in Gutu. I think we have less than 500 people in our village if we get all the families together. And if we get the little district we fall in, we're less than 50,000 people. So I'm super proud to have done all these things and come from such humble beginnings. But yeah, from there, and I love Chipinge. My mother's from Mutare, so love that part of the world as well, in terms of, wow, Zimbabwe is so beautiful. If you haven't traveled and you're looking for a vacation or looking for a honeymoon place, and when things are safe, come to Zimbabwe.
Oh, that's good story. So Jeremy, there we go. And here's another comment from Jeremy saying, I was an initial LinkedIn user with LinkedIn in London in 1993, itcontracts.com. Yeah, LinkedIn rocks. So I'm not sure that's the reference. I don't know if this is just a play on words, a joke, whatever. But certainly, I've been a LinkedIn user for a long time too. It's done very well for me. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, from there, all things are growing out of this. You know, you build yourself a following, as you mentioned earlier. You create that little hashtag that you curate. You choose 2 or 3 hashtags that you use regularly and sell the stories. So tell me a little about the hashtags. It's time to shine. So let's just get into It's time to shine a little bit, please.
All right. So like I said, hashtags are important to me because the technology we're using uses algorithms and, of course, those databases search with certain indexes and all sorts of other technical things, which you shouldn't worry about. What you should look to do is, of course, curate your own hashtag that either appeals to your company, appeals to your audience, or you can use it as a conversation. So mine, It's time to shine, is because I looked at what I do for a living. And by the way, this was an epiphany. It's not my own thinking. I think it's a God-given thing. Why? Because I've been able to articulate it in every facet of my life. So here it goes. It's time to shine as an individual. So the things that I do are to help individuals reach their true potential and to be found, or to find opportunities that make them happy. Number 2, I work with recruiters and hiring managers and leaders. So it's time for them to shine and find the best talent and bring it into their companies. Number 3, I work with them as a business. It's time for the company to shine. They need to show their values, their cultures, their benefits, what the work environment is like, and the development opportunities they offer. And then lastly, and probably most important, besides my wife, is, of course, it's time to shine as a continent. I am Africa first all day, every day. And I'm here to try and help Africa get what it deserves.
That's great. Some good, solid feedback there. Thanks. Okay, so on the back of that, we want to take some of your questions. I love this new format because I can just add in the questions that are good. Anthony Day saying, question for Stewart. When do you prefer to live stream during the week to get the most engagement?
Yeah, so weekdays it's been a journey of discovery. And this is the thing with social media, guys. If you're exploring and you want to do this, try, test, you'll get good at it. So if I'm looking for a prime captured audience and we're having a session like a masterclass where I'm coaching, morning sessions are being done for corporates and also for open sessions like we're hosting right now. But what I found is prime time is about 3 o'clock in your location. So 3 o'clock, wherever you are, most chances people have taken care of their tasks, fed the kids, done some homeschooling, done whatever they need to do from a work perspective, and they're not hungry. They've just had lunch. So between 3 and 5, I think it's a sweet spot for streaming. But what I've found is, for example, depending on the audience. So the other day I did a double live stream. I've never done one before. We had a focus on creatives. We did a session in the afternoon, and I didn't think we got the traction that we wanted. And we had set up for a session later on in the evening. And we went live at 8 and finished at 9:30, and people stayed on board. So you got to experiment.
Yeah, jump around and see. Now, I'm a little bit in the dark here because usually I would be on my different platform streaming and keeping track. So I'm seeing the questions coming through, and I can see they're coming from LinkedIn. So I presume that the people that I see that are online now are mostly LinkedIn. I see 8. I haven't figured out how to see in real time what I'm doing on the LinkedIn show. But anyway, keep the questions coming. This has been great.
For you on the other side, yeah. So don't worry.
Here's another question coming through from Graham Smith. He's saying positive African stories need to be told more. My work has so far sent me to 10 African countries, and I can personally say that Africa is amazing. The people are amazing and the cultures are vibrant. Well, I agree with that, Graham. Vibrant is a great description.
Now, Graham, you're so right. But you need to tell these stories, Graham. Every single experience that you have, whether it's learning from someone, whether it's buying from a kiosk or supporting local business, whether it's the way people welcome you. I think the one thing I love about Africa is people embrace you. They bring you into their homes. They bring you into traditional ceremonies, which are otherwise for family. But because you're foreign and you're visiting, they will welcome you and say, come and learn our culture. So those stories, you can still tell them on LinkedIn. A lot of times people say, Stewart, how is it you keep having content? Well, we all create content. Every experience that we go through where someone else can learn is important for us to share. So it doesn't have to be an update. It could be an article that you write about your last trip to Kenya and how people welcomed you and how you had chapati and dengu and all these traditional meals. And then, of course, try and find the professional angle in terms of, from that experience, what have you learned? So, for example, going back to that meal, in Kenya, every single restaurant and place you go, the first thing they'll say is karibu customer, which means welcome customer. Now, I don't get that anywhere else in the world besides Kenya and the US. In fact, the US is over the top. It's how you doing? How's your day? How can I help you today? I love the hat, Stewart. So it's different. So we can learn from those experiences in terms of how we make our customer service experience part of our DNA. So write an article on LinkedIn. The Kenyans would appreciate it. And of course, you would educate somebody else.
Oh, that's great. I like the way you've summarized that. You're quite good at summarizing all these points. It's wonderful to be chatting with you. This is almost, I got a message from LinkedIn last week when we went, when my approval for the show was given. And one of the messages was, no meta shows, no shows about how to do LinkedIn Live. Well, I don't think that's exactly what we do, but certainly we're getting the learnings along the way too.
That's
okay,
true.
so yes,
Alex, can we just tackle that one right up front? Sorry, because I know there's people who's going to be asking, what does it take to get a LinkedIn Live account? So LinkedIn Live right now is still going. Oh, you got it?
I can answer that one. It takes a long time. It takes a long time. I applied 6 months ago, and my application, I think I've had 25 applications. I know 3 people that work at LinkedIn. I leaned on all 3 of them, and with your help, we went live. But what is the official answer?
Well, the official answer is, of course, it's a platform that LinkedIn, of course, has invested in. It's something that we're using with businesses, and companies have been leaning into LinkedIn to say, look, we got all these COVID messages we need to get out, or we were supposed to have a physical conference, etc. How can we leverage the platform? So it is available for businesses to acquire and subscribe and utilize. At the same time, from an individual perspective, like you said, it is a process. It's a process where I think there's an evaluation in the background in terms of the type of content you're going to be posting, the type of reach you've had. So all the stuff that we do on LinkedIn actually does matter. So have you been posting? Have you been interacting with other people? Which communities do you belong in? What type of conversations or community will you reach? And what kind of messaging? Because as you've seen with other platforms, when you open it up and you say anybody can stream, you kind of kill the user experience, because then some people who have content that might not be child friendly or might not be professional friendly start getting on that. So I think we are moderating this to ensure that you as a member get a quality experience and that you're not inundated with too much video, because again, we're being mindful, right? So a lot of us are working from home using mobile devices that cost data. So the number of people that you want to have streaming is not too many, because of course you degrade the user experience. But it's not to say you can't apply. Apply, sure. Make a case for yourself, highlight the areas that you will be covering, highlight the audience and the reach that you have, the communities, put in that application, and hold thumbs.
That's it, hold thumbs, and apply again, and apply again, and apply again.
Well, I don't think you have to apply multiple times. We get it the first time round.
Okay, don't apply again. Sorry, you're spamming them. Okay, I'm gonna see where this lands. I'm gonna test out another real-time, as Fran was saying earlier, real-time networking opportunity. Let's see where this goes. Connet Richards, he has joined us and he is watching. He's made a message saying, "Great show, Alex." Now, Q, as he's affectionately known because of his interesting spelling of his name, Q is a gentleman that I work with and have done so for many years. He's in the finance industry with Net Group Investments, and he runs sort of corporate investment pension funds and all those kind of things. So putting it out there quickly with you, Stewart, who are you going to connect to?
I was going to tell Q right now, I hope he's been writing articles about, financial management and wellness. We all need that help right about now in terms of prioritizing between our needs and our wants. So I hope he's writing articles about that, because that's going to help people, his audience, and it will help him attach some business to it. Sorry, you had a question.
No, just saying that who would you connect him to today? You in real time gave Kim an option, and was there someone you could think of on the fly for Q? He does write, and he's very good at that too. He's very good at his job, and if you know of somebody to connect him to, we'll put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, Q, I won't connect you to an individual, but I'll say to you this: a lot of companies are letting go of people. There is a need for people to reinvent themselves and recalibrate their spending, their lifestyles, and what they do with their investments and the assets that they have. I think that's a space that you can go into right now. So look at the companies that are letting go of people. Go there and try and offer some, I think it's called outsourcing services, where you can now go in and say, look, here's what I can do for your people. So maybe it's a 30-minute free coaching session at first, so that they get a sample. And then after that, do the one-on-one coaching and engagements, because people do need help with their taxes. People do need help with communicating with people they owe money, for example. And I think with your background and your experience, again, you can be the, I hate to say this, you could be the meat and the sandwich that helps maybe a couple relook at finances, relook at investments, relook at mortgages, moving out of town, new jobs, etc. So definitely explore that angle, Q.
Thanks, Stuart. In real time, I like this. Okay, so I'm going to keep this up because this has been fun, and so let's just keep bringing your questions in and make it a show geared around the users and the listeners. So LinkedIn user says, I have two questions. First, I do not know why my profile shows LinkedIn user. Could it be due to my settings? Second, what is the power of LinkedIn when it comes to real and tangible job opportunities? Can I give you the first one? Then I'll give you my version of the second one, and then your version of the second one. How's that?
Oh, you're taking the easy one. That's okay. Yeah. The first one is your settings, definitely. So LinkedIn is really about members. So like I always say to people, if you're going to drive a fancy car, one of the first things you'll do is make sure that the seat is comfortable, the air conditioning is all right, the music is set to how you like it. And more importantly for me, it's kind of like lean back. So you do all those configurations and settings if you got a beautiful asset. Same thing, get a new phone, ringtone, you change all of that. Same thing needs to happen with your LinkedIn profile. So in your settings, probably right now you've set up, for example, that your identity and your picture, or at least your name, etc., if people are not connected to you, that it'll be private and withheld. This, again, sometimes is how people happens when people see recruiters looking at their profile and says, oh, there's a recruiter or somebody at this company looked at my profile. Yeah, on LinkedIn, you have the opportunity to mask your identity and show it to the people that you want to see your identity. You can imagine if you're a recruiter, if your full identity photograph and etc. is there, and every single profile you look at for talent pooling purposes, everybody calls you and says, I saw you looking at my profile, is there a job? It becomes a bit ineffective. So yes, every member can choose to hide or show their name or to show their details based on connections. So go to your privacy settings.
Cool. Right. I'm going to tackle the easy one now. Thanks. So I'll be a case study. Stewart, this is one of the things I wanted to bring up today. The second thing is the power of LinkedIn. Wow. I mean, my friends and people that follow me know that I'm a vocal advocate of LinkedIn, have been for many years, but it is a powerful, powerful tool. And if you put in the yards that you were talking about 10 minutes ago, put out regular content like you suggested with Q, etc., put out something regular every day, add a bit of insight and thought, and engage with the people that speak to you. Don't post and ghost as somebody put it. When people comment on your content, then comment back and draw questions out of them. The value is this: if you build up a solid profile and you share regularly, your content will then start looking more appealing to more people, and people will start liking it, sharing it, and engaging with you. If you then engage back, it's almost like a self-fulfilling. This engine can grow. And with that, you start to become seen as a person of substance or authority in a certain area. Obviously, it'll go around your talents, your interests, and what you have skills in. Then your following gets bigger. And when it comes time for you to find opportunities or look for people, your network is big such that you can put out a post saying, hey guys, I'm looking for a person who is good at IT, or I'm looking for someone who can assist me with a legal contract. And now you have something of substance. You've got a couple of thousand followers by now. People get back to you. Yeah. And in this market now, the last 3 or 4 months, it's been particularly tough all over the world. I put out a couple of little flyers just to see what's happening in the market. And okay, so it's been a couple of years that I've been quite active, about 10,000 followers, so that it makes it easier. But still, the principle is the same. You put out a request saying, look, guys, I'm looking for an IT technician. I'm looking for a carpenter. I'm looking for whatever the job is. And you get feedback. In the last 2 months, we've managed to place, I think we're at about 40 people, and looking for another 20 odd in the next few weeks. So that's the power of LinkedIn. And it costs nothing. You put your effort in and it costs nothing. You don't pay for this. It's just something you put out there. People have approached me for projects. I've found people I needed for my projects, all based on LinkedIn.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the question was also specific to jobs. So my personal short story is that the last 3 jobs I've had have come as a result of LinkedIn, and as a direct result of the work that I've been doing. So oftentimes you see me use the hashtag do work. Yeah, embrace it, do work. So if you do want to be a specialist in a given area, what are you doing digitally to show your passion around that area? So for example, my background is all IT, but all the content that you see from me is predominantly about jobs, is predominantly about HR, is predominantly about skills, is predominantly about learning and the future of work. That's because that's my passion. That's the audience that I speak to. That's how I can help society. So do the work, establish the credibility, and your brand will become so good that they'll come knocking. And that's what's happened. And I'm grateful to that, for that. And I thank God for that. So put yourself out there, share the knowledge that you have, interact with other people's content, and constantly be giving. And you'll find that the real job opportunities, the people in that sector, after a while, they can't ignore you. After a while, they will be curious. And I've had hiring managers say to the recruiter, I know for this job we needed an MBA. Stewart hasn't got it, but I still want him to come in. Because one, he's got the digital footprint, which is the audience and the customers we're trying to reach. He's got the credibility because he talks about this stuff and he's happy to have engagements like this on these topics. And then number three, he's already shown his ability to learn because he's constantly sharing new topics. And that's what businesses are looking for. They're looking for people who are self-starters, people that can get up and learn something new, and take it, own it, and make intelligent risks. So I encourage everybody who's on this, that if you know what your purpose is in life, if you know how you're going to provide impact in life, and if you know your audience, then tailor your messaging specific to the community, tailor it so that you enable that community, you engage that community to have a conversation, and that community teaches you in reverse. Sorry, Alex, got on a soapbox there.
No, but you know what happened? Stewart, something wonderful has just happened as you were talking there. Look at this comment that's come through. So here is another friend of mine, Mpho Kekana. The story I was telling you.
Mpho.
The story I was telling you just now of using the power of LinkedIn to recruit people. I put an advert out on LinkedIn about 8 or so weeks ago, looking for drivers with their own cars to help out delivering wine. And Paul was one of the people that joined the team, and she delivered wine, and then that project was over. And so she worked with us for about 2 weeks. And then a few weeks later, we needed her for another project. And I phoned her up and I said, hey, Paul, how are you at data capturing? She said, I could do it. So we put her back in the project. And then that project was over. And then we needed help once again. I said, Paul, it's not exactly what you're looking for, but I've got another opportunity. And she said, please sign me up. So thanks, Paul. Very well said is what she said. And she's
referring opportunities from one connection. I love that. Well done.
Also, it goes further. So I'm looking for an HR manager now. So if anyone out there is an HR manager or knows an HR manager, send me a message. I'm looking for someone with a great opportunity. It's a permanent job. It's a good job. And it's starting soon. So let's get back on track. Some more.
I'm just going to type it into the second screen. I'm not ignoring you. Just giving an alert for those who are watching.
Awesome. Okay, great. So Jeremy's joined us again. Jeremy, awesome. LinkedIn was the tech that helped me build itcontacts.com. A recruiting company took 2 companies to US $1 billion, all on LinkedIn. Untouchable. No better competition. I agree. LinkedIn is just amazing. And thanks for your continued contribution to this show, Jeremy, and all the other shows too. Q is saying thank you for the advice from you, Stewart, with the financial stories. That's wonderful. And this looks like it's come from YouTube, which is encouraging because I wasn't sure if I've got anyone watching on YouTube. It says, hi, Alex and Stewart. Great show. That's from Albanus Muaki.
Yeah, Albanus is working for Kenya Airways. I know he's on the HR side of things. And thank you very much for joining. Of course, Albanus, like we always say, add some of your colleagues to this stream. Alex, of course, is an international pilot. When I interviewed him, he went through a lot of alternative career options for pilots. So get in touch with Alex. And of course, the pilots that you know at Kenya Airways, help them network with Alex and find new economic opportunities.
The real-time live connection continues. Thanks. And saying great information, good show, Captain McPhail. Thank you for joining us, Wasana. That's great. And my sister Nicola is joining us too. So let's see. She says, "What great chemistry, Alex and Stewart Samkange." That's wonderful. Thanks, Nick. She's in Australia, so it's almost bedtime for her.
Oh, look at that! And you're both captains.
Oh, we're both pilots. Yeah,
pilots. You didn't tell me that.
but no, she's an airline pilot with Virgin Australia, which is currently going through some rocky times. But here's another opportunity. So as an airline pilot, she is also an accountant, a chartered accountant, and she has great experience in aviation and finance and investing. Who do you know at one of the McKinseys or Bain and Company or one of them to set her up? Because there's a redundancy program going on in Virgin Australia. So how would you set Nicola up with an opportunity to assist airlines, particularly, or any of these consultant firms with restructuring, with finance, having 10 years of aviation experience behind her too?
Oh, wow. That's a bit of a corner one. Can't think of anyone immediately. And then also being mindful, because, of course, LinkedIn is about members. So I could blurt out someone's name and they're not connected to that person and their privacy settings. They don't want to be out there. So I'd have to think about it and make sure that whoever I'm connecting her up with, I'm doing a warm intro. So as much as we connect people up and give them names, I think what's even more powerful is that warm introduction where you say, hey, Alex, I want you to meet this person because I think they can help you here, or vice versa. That's how I normally do the connections on LinkedIn and I like that fact that with LinkedIn, I don't really need email. Most people ask me, Stuart, what's your email address? And I'm like, does that even exist? Because find me on LinkedIn, right? So on LinkedIn, I put two names together, I connect the dots, both of them see the message, I leave the group, they flourish. So can't think of anyone right now, and also being mindful of our members. But yeah, happy to connect offline and assist most people. I usually work at scale, let me be honest. I try and work at scale because, of course, I lead the graduate activation program for LinkedIn, which exposes me now to a lot of young professional students and alumni. So what we normally do is work through the career services department or the alumni relations team, and then we bring the student body together and try and have one session. One-on-one assistance, I struggle with. I just don't have the bandwidth. As you can imagine, from a day-to-day business perspective, my region goes all the way from West Africa all the way down to Sub-Saharan Africa. So can't really do one-on-one profiles yet, but I know people who do that, including Alex.
Nice little plug there, thanks. And Gaynor is joining us. Gaynor there saying, such valuable advice. Thanks, Stuart and Alex. I'm also looking to market myself better to move forward. Well, I'm glad you're finding value in the content too, Gaynor.
Can I give Gaynor a tip there?
Sure.
Gaynor, write articles. And with your articles, I think go for that catchy headline. No, it doesn't have to be clickbait, but get a great headline. Ask yourself, would you read it if you saw it? Number two, I think put a fantastic photograph. And a fantastic photograph is you, Gaynor. Put yourself in the picture. Those camera-ready, stock-free images, I don't think those appeal to people. Somehow the human eye has been trained to tell the difference between a marketing image and an image from an authentic person or an image from a phone. So put an image, hopefully it's an image of yourself. Look back at some photographs that you have. And of course, be mindful when you write that article, not too long, not too short. It's hard to say how much, but share your best practice and make it personal. Keep doing that on a consistent basis. And then after a while, you will market yourself and you will market your business.
That's great advice. And while I want to fiddle with something more tech, I'm going to keep on that theme. So let me test out my screen sharing thing just to try out all the stuff. So there is a nice picture taken from the cockpit. Wow. And it was early morning going into Europe. You can see the sun's just coming up in it. That's the contrail. It's basically just steam that's making into, exhaust. But it's an airplane that's flying quite a lot higher above us, going across, and the sun is just reflecting beautifully. So it's not chemtrails, it's condensation trails. But as I leave that there, just to try out the pic and look at
learning every day.
This idea of writing articles. So the way I see the profile working well on LinkedIn is that when you have a nice thorough profile on your LinkedIn account, you've got good photo, you've got a backline photo, you've got a good headline, you've got a nice about, all your education, everything is there. Are you still
Sorry,
there?
I lost you there for a second, but yeah, I'm back.
If you look at someone's profile that has a couple of articles to the name, now that's an article that could be somewhere on 1,000 up to 3,000 odd words. It's a nice solid read. It's an in-depth, like an economist type of article rather than a Times headline. You know what I mean? It's a more meaty 10-minute read rather than a quick 2-minute content read.
Yeah.
You don't sit and read all your articles. So it might not be necessary to have 100 articles to your name, but to have 1 or 2, 3 or 4 or 5 to your name looks like you've put in the effort on your profile. So just touching on your point there with Gaynor, write a few articles, have them in your profile, but then make the meat of your approach to your profile to just post regularly. Regularly write it's a 2-minute read, but it's about 200 words in the 1,300 characters you can use. Nice picture, nice headline, share your story.
Yeah, and again, Gaynor, when you're feeling brave, let's go into video. And when we do video, let's have subtitles so that those who don't speak English or whatever language you speak as a native language, they'll be able to read along. And those who are deaf and hard of hearing, because we're all about diversity, inclusion, and belonging, we want them also to participate. So video is the new area. But video that has got subtitles, I think, is the video that's going to take you far really quickly.
Good points there, because people do watch without listening. And so there, as I'm fiddling with the tech as I go, that's getting the photo in live without being prepared before. And so I'm quite chuffed about that. And this is a picture of the lineup facing to the west in London. So this is runway 27, due west is to 270 magnetic heading. And you can see the sun's just about to set. This was one of those magnificent evenings, a beautiful, calm evening. We're blasting off to the west, and slowly, within a few minutes of takeoff, we'll turn out southbound to the left and head back to Johannesburg for about 10.5, 11-hour flight home. But this sunset was amazing. You can see that thin layer of cloud that's there. We kind of went in and out of it, and there was pink sky below and above. And it was just one of those glorious, glorious evenings.
Let me ask you something, Alex. It's your show, but I'll ask you a question.
Turn the mic. Cool.
Maybe it only happens to me on a long distance trip, but I don't like driving in the twilight. So is it the same when you fly? Does the human body feel a sense of fatigue or shutting down if you're taking off into the sunset like this? Is it the same?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, driving in the twilight. For me, driving in the twilight is... although there's more light than in the dark, you can see less because your eyes haven't completely adjusted to the dark, and the power of your headlights and the reflection of the signboards, etc., don't give as much compared to what the surrounding requires. So in the dark, lights on and reflector boards work better than the twilight, but obviously daytime is better. So from that perspective, physiology-wise, it's only applicable on the ground. Once you're in the air, there's actually almost the reverse effect. It's such a beautiful, uplifting time, that sort of 10 minutes before, 10 minutes after sunset or sunrise, that you actually get energized. It's not tiring. It builds you up. So no, it's a great time. It's an excitement. And 3 hours after or 2 hours after sunset is where you run out of energy. That's when you start, you sitting there with a yeah.
I love it.
If you want to know what it is to be an airline pilot, the experience, what they say is get dressed in your uniform, go inside a dark cupboard, put the vacuum cleaner on, and just sit there for 10 hours. You'll hear this humming noise sitting in the dark in a small space. Anyway, we're just joking about those things. Obviously, every job has their ups and downs. That's one of the downs.
No, I think someone was laughing at tech workers and said, life for tech workers is 300 browsers are open and trying to figure out where's that other one.
That's it. Okay, let's get some more of your comments as we're getting towards the latter part of it. So LinkedIn user, I think it's the same gentleman, saying, thank you so much, or ladies, thank you so much for the answers and wonderful insights. God bless you all, Alex McPhail and Stewart Samkange. So thank you for rounding that up.
Thank you.
And Nicola coming back in saying, so great to see there is life after flying. That's what I'm after. So she's also in the retrenchment program with Virgin Australia. So yeah, life after flying indeed, with lots of skills learned along the way. And true to form here, and Paul's come back to us saying, keep up the good work. My lunchtime is over. She is, in fact, working today in the job I've placed her in. So back to work.
Back to work you go.
That's great to see. Another old friend has joined in, Gerry Engelbrecht. We were in the Air Force together as flying instructors. He's now the boss of one of the big transport squadrons in the South African Air Force, saying awesome. So thank you for that. I hope that's the right Gerry Engelbrecht. I can't really see, there's no profile picture, but I presume it is. And Gaynor saying thank you. Thomas Wilhelm is joining us. That's wonderful. He is the chief test pilot at Airbus in Toulouse, and we had him on the show about 2 months ago, and he's saying, "Hi, Alex, good show, excellent advice." So I know all big industries and travel are affected. Airbus is also affected. I'm not sure about your situation, Thomas, but certainly it's tough times in lots of industries too.
Yeah, definitely. I think resilience, Alex, as people are going through this, if anyone's watching and they've been impacted, if anything, what I think I would give as advice is throw yourself into learning new skills and be kind to yourself. I think we're often harsh on our own selves. And I think as you go through whatever it is you're going through, you need to love and be kind to yourself. And then more importantly, start acquiring new skills. The more you learn, the more new opportunities you're going to find. And please don't stick to the industry or the academic learning that you've had. The careers, the jobs, the work of the future is all changing. So use your inherent God-given skills and talent and passion and the things you've learned to reinvent yourself. I think we're living in exceptional times. No other generation will get this kind of an opportunity to having seen where we're coming from to where we're going. So this is a time for you to reinvent yourself, to, of course, take intelligent risks in terms of how you invest and what kind of new opportunities you go after. But ultimately, you need to love yourself and you need to be kind to yourself if you are going to progress. We can do this. It's time to shine.
It's time to shine. That's good words there. Thank you for that. Resilience is key, and upskilling yourself in something new. Let's see. I'm just going to try and wrap up a few extra comments before we close off the show. Gerry again saying beautiful sunset picture. Thanks. Thank you for all the info coming from Graham. Really enjoyed it. And Gerry is the right Gerry. Yes, it is from the Air Force. I remember the sunset and huge clouds flying over the DRC, flying in the C-130. So that's great. Thanks. And another friend, Jason Northwood, has joined. He is also an active participant on LinkedIn and YouTube and makes the Go series. He has a Go Aviate and Go Active, and also recently been retrenched from Emirates and now back in South Africa to start a new venture. So welcome back home. I saw your video this morning. You just got back to the family either today or yesterday. That must be a wonderful, wonderful feeling. Yeah. And thanks for joining the show, Jason. Yeah, we got Florence saying thank you. She's joined us as well. And Gerry is once again saying, yes, Stewart, learning new skills is important. I started some blogging in India to encourage and help people and learn to invite into your space. So yeah, so that's resilience is a key thing. What have you seen? Have you seen a trend across your connections on LinkedIn? Or are people reaching out to you more to say, which way should I go? Are they saying, I'm thinking about this direction? What do you think? What have you noticed with your connections or in your networks about people and upskilling and are they asking for help, or are they saying, I found this opportunity, what do you think? Or where does that normally sit for you, Stewart?
Yeah, I think, well, the sad part is a lot of them want to start with the traditional, I need to create my CV, I need to, etc., create a resume. And I'm like, well, nobody really uses that as much and as often. What you need to do, of course, is build out your digital branding and your digital profile, and to make sure that it's, of course, aligned to the audience and the communities that you're trying to help. Then I say, do work. And do work is, of course, that whole credibility bit. So I encourage people now to show the experiences and the things that they've done in the past. So, for example, I look at people's LinkedIn profiles and you find that on the job description or the work, where it says work experience, people have put in a job description. And I have the conversation to say, well, you're human, right? You're a human being, you're a professional. Do you know that every job, there's 250 people that are equally qualified as you? Number one. Number two, do you know that the recruiter's job ultimately is to eliminate most of those people and get down to a list of 6 for hiring of 2 people or 1 person? So if you are a recruiter, would you want to read a job description that outlines what a general manager does? Or would you rather tell a story of, this is who we were, this is what we did, this is the impact we brought, and me personally, here's the unique value proposition that I brought into it. So it's just helping people reframe that, and then also helping people acquire digital skills and to break out of their comfort zones and say, well, why don't you start shooting native video? If we know that the community or the industry you're focusing on is visually stimulated or is in the creative sector, or the role that you're in is related to creatives, then why aren't you demonstrating that? And not just on LinkedIn. I think a lot of people forget this and go, oh, my LinkedIn is kind of like holier than thou type profile. But then your Twitter, your Instagram, and everything else is an extreme part of you. So I say to people that, as much as you manage your LinkedIn and it is your professional outlook to life, manage your YouTube, manage your Twitter, manage your, I've seen people get onto Twitter, for example, and shout at service providers. I know you're frustrated. It's okay. But when you shout at that service provider and say you're useless and this company should be shut down, that's why you're retrenching and all of that, you forget that the internet doesn't forget. Okay. So another recruiter from another organization, before they take you in for the job, they're going to do a Google search. And if they find that, you said things about other brands, they start wondering, what will you do here? So sure. I think a lot of us are not mindful of the fact that our personal profiles are 24/7 and that our brands speak for us when we're not in the room. So having those types of conversations with people.
Yeah, that's great. And in fact, it's interesting that CVs, dusting off CV, as you mentioned in the beginning of your answer there. So in the process that we're doing now, I've upskilled myself, and now I'm in the human capital game too, providing opportunities for others. And people are reaching out saying, I have this need. Can you help me find X? Well, when people reach out to me, often people send me an email with their CV. I don't even read their CV. I just respond saying, please fill in this online form. And one of the details in the online form, it's your LinkedIn profile. Firstly, you have to have a LinkedIn profile. Secondly, you have to be able to copy and paste it in a digital format so that I can see it. And I just click through and I read in your LinkedIn profile and I can see what you're up to. And most of the time I'll say, listen, maybe you can just add a bit more information about your profile. Connect to me, have a look at the kind of things that I've written so you can get a sense of what it is to have a thorough profile. And it's an easier screening tool. I can just flick through your profile, see what you're up to. And there's a visual part to it too. It's not just words. It's in a nice organized sequence. It's a good way to compare people. And as you say, the job of the screening person is to get rid of most of the people and bring a short list down to 3 or 4. And so make your profile count. Tell the story. That's back to storytelling. Tell your story.
Yeah, make the profile count, have the credibility and the proof that the things that you say have been publicly endorsed by other people, or you've got recommendations, or you've even got a photograph showing the type of work that you've done before. You've got a website, you've got a blog, you've got whatever. But here's the thing. We're talking about instant connections and helping people instantaneously. Well, I've got to give, Alex. Can I give away my give?
Please do.
So here's the thing. Microsoft, LinkedIn, and GitHub got together. They looked at the jobs of the future and looked at the jobs that are most in demand, and also looked at what skills people need. So I know a lot of people that are watching this, you've mentioned some of them have been furlonged or about to be retrenched, etc. So as you reinvent yourself, you want to reinvent yourself specifically for the jobs that are trending or the jobs that are looking for certain types of skills. So I've just shared right now on the stream, the first one is how to become a sales rep, a sales representative. This is not that everybody can do it, and not that everyone aspires to sell, but this could be something that you could look at. I'm about to post the second one, which is how to become a project manager. So there's like 14 of these types of learning paths and that Microsoft and LinkedIn have put together. These are based on the jobs that are in demand and the skills that people are looking for. So click on it, you take the learning path, you get the certifications, you use those certifications to advance your conversation with a hiring manager. So that's my giveaway for now.
Wonderful. And you heard it here first, folks. So I want to show you, let's just do one or two more comments. I want to show you one more picture, and then we're going to wrap it up. So the comments coming through is saying, LinkedIn user, here is the, let me change the view to look like this. Here is the hidden treasure of LinkedIn. Thank you both. All right, and Richard Bele saying, amazing. Thank you, Stewart and Alex. Well, thanks for joining, Richard. Appreciate your comment. And Thomas from Airbus once again saying, a pleasure to listen to Stewart and you, Alex, of course. Keep it up. Next meeting now. So he's off back to work. And Mark saying, another great show, Alex. Excellent and realistic inputs from Stewart. Many thanks. Well, I agree with him completely, Stewart. It's been wonderful having you here. And last comment before we wrapping it up, Simon Dunham says, great show, good advice. Change is our friend. Indeed it is. Let me try this quickly. And that's one last photo. We talked about, this is a photo. I think I've used it at some point on my LinkedIn profile too, to give you a sense of what you do. Obviously, it's quite easy to be in the aviation game because you can get nice photos, but it doesn't have to be a photo of either a fancy piece of machinery, or you could just have a nice photo. A photo tells a good story. And what this story tells me, not that the sun is melting this Airbus A340-600 that's just arrived in New York. This reminds me of the 16 hours we spent together as a crew of 18, flying across from South Africa to New York. Many storms along the way, some technical challenges too. And the crew worked together and the job got done.
Excellent.
And the sun rose just after we landed, and that's the sun coming up behind that Airbus as we walk off the airplane and go through immigration for a bit of rest.
Lovely, lovely.
Stewart, it's been wonderful having you on the show. You've had some great insights. You've been practical. You've been real on the spot, giving answers. You've been engaged nicely with the guests too. You've shared comments as well. I couldn't have asked for a better guest to start off with this LinkedIn profile. Thank you so much once again for your time, your effort, and your assistance in helping me. And I'll keep up the positive African success stories. We'll keep shining too, and all the best for your ventures as well.
Thanks a lot, Alex. It's time to shine.
It's time to shine. Well, folks, it's been fun. It's been great. I've enjoyed having Stewart and you guys joining too. Please remember to share this with people that would be interested or are in need of some opportunities. You heard some great tips on this place first. Until next time, take care.